All I have are negative thoughts.
Hello everybody, Film Trigger here. My name is Stevie Cade, and I just came back from seeing The Joker.
Send in the clowns.
And essentially this movie is about a failing clown and comedian, Arthur Fleck, who slowly descends into madness as he is bullied and ignored by the world around him. And that transforms him into the criminal mastermind that we know as the Joker. I will say this film sets a standard for so many things like mental health, humanity, moral responsibility, and the responsibility of filmmakers. It not only asks the audience really tough questions, but it also shows us what can happen if nothing ever changes. And that's pretty powerful. So at the beginning of this film, we dive right into where Arthur Fleck is at mentally. We learn that he's being bullied by citizens of Gotham. That he's taking care of his ill mother, that he himself is dealing with mental illness issues, and initially has been abandoned by his city. In the film, Gotham has ceased funding for programs that Arthur was using, like for therapy or to get his prescription pills.
This is the last time we'll be meeting.
And to top it all off, he suffers with a disorder that causes him to laugh uncontrollably. Got it! And it tortures him. And that's where this movie gives us the living embodiment of Sock and Buskin, which is the tragedy comedy theater masks.
And maybe tomorrow.
And this duality is set at the forefront of the movie and really sets the tone of where Arthur Fleck is at in his head. And Joaquin Phoenix does a phenomenal job displaying the anguish that this disorder causes. You have to go see this movie. It's so in-depth. I can't describe it as well as it's portrayed in this film. The depth of emotion that Joaquin Phoenix gave in his performance is haunting. So along the line, Arthur Fleck has obtained a gun, and he ends up using the gun to defend himself against three upscale Gothamites.
What's so funny? Freak!
Which ends in him killing them in self-defense, but he flees the scene quickly and is only identified as someone wearing clown makeup or a clown mask, which sends an already unstable Gotham to divide even further. The elite of Gotham want to catch the clown character responsible for killing these fine young men and bring them to justice. But the poverty-stricken lower-class citizens of Gotham have seemed to adopt the killer clown image, and it creates a revolution against the oppressive elite of Gotham. Kind of like a Guy Fawkes situation, like in V for Vendetta. The rise of the clowns, if you will. Well, this instills a confidence in Fleck that he is not invisible anymore. People are beginning to take notice.
For my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed. But I do. And people are starting to notice.
You know, even though they don't know it's him directly, that doesn't matter. It's something that he caused, he created. It gives him the confidence to kind of go for the girl next door, Sophia, which is played by Zazie Beetz. You know, he jumps on the opportunity, and they kind of start dating. That's the confidence he has now. He pursues his career in stand-up, and we see a happier Arthur for a brief moment. He soon finds out that his mother had a stroke, that the police are also on his tail a little bit, showing up to his door, questioning him about the murders, and also finds out that he's possibly the illegitimate love child of Thomas Wayne. Yeah. Sends him down a kind of rabbit hole where he searches out Thomas Wayne. Not to show anger or to hurt him or anything, but really just to kind of want to be loved and be like, hey, I'm here now. We can be a family, or not even be a family, just acknowledge me. Love me, please love me. But Thomas Wayne dismisses the accusations.
Is this a joke to you?
And actually informs Arthur that his mother, who worked for Thomas many years before, is actually insane and spent some time in Arkham. Oh, and by the way, Arthur, you're adopted. which he finds out to be true after he steals some files on his mom from the Arkham City Hospital. So I guess he's adopted now. And he also finds out that his mom was in the hospital for having delusions and leaving Arthur in a very unsafe atmosphere where her boyfriends would beat him up and tie him to the radiator, and she just really didn't do anything about it because, you know, Arthur just always seemed like a happy child, which I would assume is because he was probably laughing uncontrollably. So this perfect storm of her mental illness, his disorder, just made it's crazy. You have to see this. You have to see this movie. But yeah, the files say that he is in fact adopted, and Thomas Wayne is not his father, or so it seems. So about this time, when the third act begins, is when we start to see the full spectrum of Arthur's mental illness, where he ends up murdering his mother by smothering her to death. And then we come to find out that his relationship with Sophia was just a delusion. I mean, the character exists, she is a neighbor of his, but they were never in a relationship. And this gets illustrated to us by, you know, we would get clips of what we saw earlier, you know, them hanging out together, and then we'd see it from a different angle where it's just him by himself, you know, and she's not beside him. This is all in his head. He's creating his own little world. And that kind of makes me happy, and not that he's delusional, but the fact that the Sophia character was a delusion, because for the entire second act, I was really upset with this character. Like, why was she in this movie? I didn't believe their relationship. It didn't make sense to me. Why did it? I just thought they just had her in there because, oh, Joker needs a love interest, and I was really disappointed. But that was quickly explained off when we find out it's just a delusion. It all made perfect sense then. I'm like, oh, just watch the movie, Steve. In the midst of all this development, Arthur has actually been called up and invited on the Murray Franklin TV show, which is a kind of a late night show. But they invited him because they had a really big response in an earlier episode where Murray Franklin, played by Robert De Niro, had actually made fun of the wannabe comedian, showing a clip of him and pretty much saying that he wasn't funny.
And finally, in a world where everyone thinks they can do my job, check out this guy.
When I was a little boy and told people I was going to be a comedian, everyone laughed at me. Well, no one's laughing now.
You can say that again, pal.
But even though Arthur knew that he was being made fun of, he did accept to be on the show and kind of devises this plan to kill himself live on air. And he also asked to be called Joker.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
Because that's what Murray had referred to him as when making fun of him in the previous episode. He said, hey, look at this Joker. And then on air, Arthur admits that he is the one who killed those three well-to-dos in Gotham. And they don't believe him at first, but he said, yeah, it's me. I killed them. And that's followed by a very powerful speech about what's wrong with society. Instead of pulling the gun on himself, he pulls it on Murray Franklin and shoots him right in the head in front of the audience on live television. From this point on, the Joker is born. And Arthur Fleck is pretty much dead. I mean, I guess in a sense he did kind of kill himself on air, but only mentally killed himself. At this point, he becomes the leader of the terrifying clown clan that has taken to the streets of Gotham and pretty much just killing the rich. Which Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne fall into this category. They're killed by one of the vigilantes in this riot, and even though the Joker himself didn't pull the trigger, he is directly responsible. Now, the cast of this movie did phenomenal. Joaquin Phoenix, obviously his performance was brilliant and expertly crafted, and this will be a definite nomination, if not a definite win, at the Oscars for him. And let's not forget Todd Phillips, who put all this together, writing, directing, and came up with a rich story about mental health and humanity that is not only eye-opening, but very, very, very important. But the controversy over this film proves that. People as a whole don't like to be called out for their wrongdoings or their mistakes, and that's what this movie does. It kind of calls people out and holds them responsible, and that's a very powerful statement, especially for a movie like this, a comic book movie. I mean, overall, I see this movie as a staple for not only DC, but actually Warner Brothers, because this is the first time in a long time that I am proud of Warner Brothers for actually letting a movie like this be made. And it really shows their integrity to stay focused on director-driven films and letting the directors tell the story that they want. Finally, release a Snyder Cut. Even though it's a slow burn, I was captivated the entire time. Even during the slower parts, I was captivated. Like they use subplots to help carry through the slower parts of the movie, like the Thomas Wayne story, which, by the way, to kind of give you closure on that, they proved that Thomas Wayne was not the father of Arthur Fleck, but they kind of gave the big question mark on that at the end when you saw a younger picture of Arthur's mother, and on the back it says, "You have a beautiful smile," with the initials TW written underneath. Thomas Wayne. So it could have very well been a cover-up, like his mom had been telling Arthur the whole time that, Wayne just covered the whole thing up. Which puts a whole different level on Wayne that we've never seen before. He kind of makes him almost a bad guy, which, I don't know. I guess there's two sides to every story, right? So we'll see if they make a sequel. Maybe they'll dive more into that, so who knows. I could go on and on about this movie, and there's so much good to say about it. I only had really two negatives, kind of nitpicky negatives. Well, one of them is a nitpicky negative. Like the music choice for some of the scenes and the third act of the film just don't fit the tone of the rest of the movie. They just kind of use these upbeat, pop culture songs, which didn't make sense to me because you don't hear that throughout the entire film. Actually, you hear a really fantastic score freckled in with some kind of 50s styles, lounge pieces. It only comes up after Arthur kind of embodies the Joker. I don't know, man. It just didn't hit it for me. And the other one is, even though all the controversy about this movie I find to be ridiculous, I think there is an aspect of this film that could inspire the wrong people. People much like Arthur Fleck, who feel like left out loners. But the argument to that is it's not the filmmaker's responsibility to rectify that. It's the filmmaker's responsibility to show that to the audience that doesn't see it. Show it to an audience that doesn't understand that this is happening all around you. Pay attention. Make the change. So that's not really a negative, but I can kind of see where a little bit of controversy could come up from that. But not this whole, well, I'm not going to go into it. Not the whole theater thing. But other than that, I agree that this movie is a masterpiece and gives us a beautifully tragic story wrapped in Joker skin. By the end of this film, I felt like I was looking at the really... For that reason, I give this movie an A+.
That was wonderful! Bravo! I loved that! Oh, it was great!
So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think of this movie? How did you feel about all the controversy behind it? Did you feel it was warranted? Is this the best Joker you've ever seen, or do you just not like this Joker at all? I'm really interested to hear your opinions on this, so please leave that in the comment section below. And while you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell ding thing so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.
Please stop bothering my kid.
Sorry.